It's more important than Michael Jordan or fire, it's fire, it's fire, 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 fire.
Hi everybody, Nick Miller here from MiniQuadClub.com, and this is my part 1 review of the ZUUL Superbeast edition from Hovership. For those of you who've lived under a rock for the last couple years, Hovership is easily the biggest name in 3D printed quads, and this particular model, the ZUUL, is his first entry into the carbon fiber world. It's available in 2 editions, as I mentioned. There's the Superbeast edition, which is this, which has support for 6-inch props and has support for a GoPro. And the other version, the Racehound, was initially released just to support 5-inch props and a Mobius, but I believe now there's a longer set of arms you can buy for it, and you can actually get it to run 6-inch props as well. So kind of the best of both worlds. If you want a Mobius carrier for 5 or 6-inch props, you can go the Racehound version. Or if you want something to carry your GoPro, you can go with the Superbeast edition, which is a 285. So you're talking 285 millimeters from motor to motor, center to center, diagonal. Some of the features I'd like to talk about, just to cover some cool things about this particular frame. First, we'll talk a little bit about these arms. So the arms are foldable. I have them currently in the locked position, so you can put a screw through them. As you can see from the bottom here, there's a couple different sets of screw holes here. So I have mine set up so the arms stay unfolded, just because I have so many quads that I usually don't carry them in a backpack. I usually just have them in the car with me. I usually take 3 or 4 when I'm going out to fly. So for me, the folding was not an issue, but if you're looking for a quad that can carry a GoPro and run 6-inch props that you could condense down and fit in a backpack, this is definitely one to look at. I haven't seen myself another quad of this size that had the features that this had for the GoPro that was able to be folded, so 2 thumbs up for some forward thinking there. It's also very modular. I mentioned there's 2 different versions, but if you were to go on Hovership's website and buy the proper parts, you could convert this Superbeast down to a Racehound or vice versa. So if you had a Mobius now, you could purchase a Racehound, run that for a while, and when you were ready to step up to a GoPro camera, you could buy the proper parts for this and allow you to upgrade to this Superbeast version. The biggest addition is the GoPro protection, and we're going to get into that in a second. Some of the other features, it's obviously a clean, dirty design, so you can kind of see the clean and dirty plates. There's a 10mm stack space in between these 2 plates, so kind of plan accordingly. If you have really large ESCs, you might want to run some bigger bobbins and source some bigger bobbins, or you could probably put some washers in between the bobbins and the plates to give yourself some extra space. I'm using some 12 amp, and there's easily, by me looking at it, enough room for 20s and probably 30s if you're creative. So I wouldn't hesitate to to try to put some bigger ESCs in there if you wanted to. I've run the 12 amp ESCs on 4S with these motors and had no issues with sinking and or heat. So, you know, I've run some other quads I had on 4S with 12 amp and had no problems too. So, you know, your mileage may vary, but for me, the 12 amp still do a really, really good job dealing with the higher draw of these motors and these props. Something else it has, which is a nice feature, is a stop built into it. You can access that stop through the bottom hole here, and that stop is for if you hit the ground front ways, you're not going to shear all the bobbins off because you crashed. The stop goes through from the dirty to the clean so that it does not let those push straight back. So in most cases, I would assume that your bobbins would be preserved in a crash, which is always nice. One of the other things to mention, I guess while we're on the topic of that, is that there are nice holes in this very bottom plate that are drilled out that allow you to access not only the bottom of the bobbins, but also other screws in the next plate. And what that means from a maintenance perspective is that if you're trying to work on your quad and you want to take this apart, or you need to work on something or get to an ESC or maybe reorganize something, you can get to the bobbins from here. And that's pretty convenient because a lot of frames you have to really tear down quite a bit to get your ESCs, and that's not the case with this frame. You can take out these top of these bobbins here. There's 1, 2, and on the top side here 3 and 4, and then you can remove this whole entire top piece. And you know, it would really be connected by you know, your servo cables from your ESCs. So you could kind of tilt it on its side and have full access to everything else, fix some soldering if you needed to, replace an ESC without doing a complete teardown. So 2 thumbs up from the maintenance perspective on that so far. I mentioned the folding arms, very cool. The bobbins for clean dirty really takes away any vibrations. I haven't had any in the testing I've done so far in any of my video, whether it be the FPV video or the GoPro video. And I mentioned the bobbin stops, and then, you know, last but certainly not least, I kind of want to talk about the front end GoPro protection. So there's a lot of frames out there that are starting to carry the GoPro around. You know, the first frame I can think about that I ever saw that carried a GoPro was probably a Disco, followed by maybe a 400 from QAV, and then the 400Q from Real FPV. Those were some of the first frames back in the day that I had seen that actually thought about carrying a GoPro on the nose. I think the Flip 360 might have been another one that that carried around a GoPro on the nose, but a lot of those lacked some front end protection. And so in the mini world, you know, there's only a small handful. We have an Epic Mini, we have the ZUUL, there's a couple other ones out there that I haven't yet to review, but from a protection standpoint, you know, you have a PM300, you have the Blackout 330, and you have the Superbeast, and those are the frames currently on the market that include, you know, some kind of GoPro protection and cage that I've seen. And I gotta say that when you fly this with your GoPro on there, it definitely gives you a boost of confidence. The last thing anybody wants is to come careening into the ground at, you know, 50 miles an hour and land, you know, GoPro first into the ground. So it's really, really nice to have a frame that actually has thought about that. It's not an afterthought, it was planned. And you know, it's a great little modular cage. It gives you this nice wedge with the kit you can see right here, and the wedge allows you to have just the right amount of tilt with your GoPro. So I just actually used some servo tape and taped that down, and so when I set my GoPro in there, it automatically has a nice angle to it, and you know, it's already ready to go. There's some cutouts here, as you can see, and you can just wrap a strap right around your GoPro and it sits right on this little ledge, and that's really all there is to it. It's a really solid design. I've hit the ground a couple times so far. I still have plenty of testing to do so far, but what I will say is the couple times I hit the ground with it, you know, the GoPro came out unscathed. You know, obviously I didn't break anything else on the frame either, so far the durability looks pretty good. Just to kind of talk about my setup a little bit, right now, as you can see, I'm running the some of these Hovership motors. These are actually 2204 1960 kVs from Hovership.com as well, which have been working really well on 4S for me to this point. I'm also running some Hovership 12 amp ESCs. Again, no issues with those in amp draw. And I'm running HQ 6-inch 4.5 props. And these things are just, you know, not to be corny about it, but they are beasts. I mean, they're amazing props. They've cut trees when I've hit trees. They've clipped branches and just eat the branches. You know, I've been really impressed with the HQ 6 by 4.5s, and on this particular frame, and as you'll see in the video clip, I'm going to include a little clip at the end of this part 1, just to give you a little glimpse of what I was able to do tuning wise. This thing flies extremely well with this particular setup, and I've experienced, you know, no heat, you know, in the motors and no heat with ESCs. So, you know, if you're looking for a good setup to start with, you know, with the ZUUL, definitely take a look at, you know, the Hovership motors and ESCs on the site. It would be a nice one-stop shop, get everything you need at one place, and they seem to work out really, really well. I know a lot of guys are running some, you know, 2208s on it, 2208 2000s or 2208 1800s, things like that. Important thing to remember when you do that is that the LiPo, you know, is really the limitation on any mini quad right now. There's only so much battery juice, so you kind of have to pick between something that is going to be, you know, a good flight time, like a 4 or 5 minute flight time, versus something a lot less that might do some damage to LiPos, depending on how, you know, I know how thrusty it's going to get and how many amps it draws. So, you know, for me, at this stage of my flying ability, I think that, you know, these 1960s on 4S have been, you know, more than adequate. But again, you know, there's some 2208s out there that are definitely, you know, you can definitely fit on here, and there's a lot of guys in the group that are running them, and it seems like it really screams with that setup. One day when I'm ready, maybe I'll upgrade to that, but, you know, I'm pretty sure that this setup would do what it needs to do for most people. As far as other pieces and parts, I'm running a D4R-II FR Receiver, a Naze 32 with clean flight, and a Fatshark 250 milliwatt VTX. That's all tucked into the body. As you can see, there's plenty of space inside, which is nice. The design is, you know, it gives you plenty of space, and there's plenty of slots to mount things. I've also, speaking of mounted things, used some 3D printed accessories that were designed by Hovership to hold various things. Here you can see the bar that I got printed for me, that actually holds my antennas, and then also this mount for this SecurityZone camera. This is a SecurityZone, basically a PZ0420. Camera works really, really well. I will have some DVR footage eventually in part 2, so you can see how well this cam does work. I definitely recommend this cam for a lot of different reasons. One, the picture quality is great because it's based on the, you know, PZ0420 architecture, but it's smaller. It does not give you the ability, without some finagling, to get into the OSD, but the settings out of the box are really, really great. It also accepts 5 volts and up, so on a setup like this, coming from the Fatshark VTX, you can plug directly in and it takes 5 volts and everything's okay. So it's been working out really, really well. I have a really short extension cable, and then I've been running some antennas on it out the back hole right here, so there's some nice separation from front to back, which is always nice. And you know, all in all, it's been a really nice frame for me so far. I'm really looking forward to getting some more flight time in with it, and you know, I'm looking forward to getting some crash testing on it and getting back to you guys on you know, how I feel it performs in comparison to some of the other frames that are similar in its size. Again, it's a 285, so that puts it right in the same realm as you know, some of the other frames, like an Epic Mini. It's a 280, and it's also meant to carry a GoPro, so you know, there'll be some comparisons about flight characteristics and things like that in my part 2. But all in all, I've been really happy with the design. The carbon fiber is of good quality. All the plates are, I believe, 1.5 millimeter. Whereas actually it looks like the main plates are 1.5. I believe this top plate here looks to be probably a 2 millimeter top plate here for GoPro protection, which is nice. And then the arms are 3 millimeter. So you know, we're talking probably 3 millimeter top plate, 3 millimeter arms, and 1.5 millimeter plates everywhere else. The standoffs are all aluminum, so it's nice. The hardware is all aluminum, which is also nice. And as you can see from my build video, you're able to use some short standoffs and put that power distribution board way down low in the frame. So it really is nice. It buries itself down in the bottom of the dirty plate, to where it doesn't interfere with anything. It's kind of an afterthought. Once you do the wiring and install it, it's just there. So all in all, I've been really happy with the build. It went together really easily. There's a great step-by-step manual kind of on the hovership.com website. And now that I have it all tuned up, I'll show you some footage here right after this. You can judge for yourself how it flies so far. So again, this is the ZUUL Superbeast edition, and I'll be back with part 2 soon. So stick around. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.